Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, we're going to do another episode of Bites and Nibbles with Breck today. This one actually started out on the live stream a couple days ago. We, as we often do, started talking about food, and somebody mentioned tomato soup and how much they liked it. And I said, you know what, I like tomato soup too. I ought to do a tomato soup recipe and see if I can find something that can be done in the Instant Pot. Well, a quick search of the internet, and here we are. Let's look at our ingredients. Now, one of the things that caught my attention about this recipe is that it's actually pretty easy to prepare and it gets done pretty quickly. So let's look at our ingredients. We're going to start off with some diced tomatoes. We're going to use a little bit of granulated sugar, some basil, some chicken broth, a little heavy whipping cream, some Parmesan cheese for flavor at the end, a little bit of butter, and one onion that I've diced. And I did that ahead of time. You know what it looks like to chop up onion, so just use your imagination if you're not sure about that. Alright, so before we start this, I am actually going to double this recipe, so everything is going to be twice what the recipe actually calls for. So we're going to put the Instant Pot into saute mode, and we are going to melt a little bit of butter. It actually says two tablespoons of butter. I'm going to actually double that a little bit because I have a larger Instant Pot. Once that has melted, I'm going to saute my onions for a couple minutes until they got a nice kind of brown color to them. And now that the butter is melted, I'm going to pour in my onions, and we're going to let them saute for, like I said, about 5 minutes or so until they kind of soften and slightly brown a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of keep them moving here for the next couple minutes. Now the recipe actually says give it about 5 minutes, but we went a little bit longer because it took that much longer to kind of get the onions to start browning a little bit. But I think we're kind of to that point now. They're looking pretty good. And so now we're going to put in most of the rest of our liquid ingredients. So we're going to put in 8 cans of the crushed tomatoes. Remember, I'm doubling this recipe, so the numbers that you're going to get are twice what are going to be on the recipe in the description at the end. Well, we got 8 cans of the crushed tomatoes, and that's going to kind of be our base. We're also going to put in 2 cups of chicken broth. And 4 cups of sugar and, 4 tablespoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of dried basil. And we're just going to basically mix that all together, just to get it all kind of mixed in there. While I'm doing that, I'm going to hit cancel here to turn off the saute mode because we don't need that anymore. Get everything kind of mixed up there. That's starting to look good. Alright, I think that's about as mixed up as we're going to get it. Next, we're going to just put the lid on. And we are going to pressure cook at high for 7 minutes. And we'll turn off that. Alright, I'll see you in 7 minutes. I gotta say, one of the benefits of having a vlog where you do a lot of cooking is that you end up with a pretty impressive selection of spices. Alright, our time has gone by. The recipe actually says you can quick release or naturally release. They say they've tried it both ways and had the same results both ways. So in the interest of time, I've quick released, and the little pink button has dropped, so it is now safe to release the lid. As always, keep clear of the steam because there will be a lot of condensation that comes out when you open this thing up, as you can see. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's stir this up a little bit. We aren't done yet. There's a little bit more to this. They recommend that you take this all out, put it in a blender, and kind of grind it up a bit. So we're going to do that. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is really all about pulverizing the tomato chunks and everything that's solid in there, and to turn it more into just kind of a liquid. And so what I'm doing is I'm pouring it from the inner pot of the Instant Pot into the blender. I'm blending it for a little bit and then transporting it into this other larger pot here. Now, an argument might be made that you might prefer a more chunky tomato soup. If that's the case, just skip the previous step. It's really up to you. And last but not least, we're going to add in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. This is just going to give it a little bit more of a creamy flavor. And we're going to just kind of mix that all in together. I'll tell you, this is another one of those where I wish we had the ability to transmit smell through YouTube, because this smells really good. Now, the fact that I use kind of smoked crushed tomatoes may give this a little bit more of a smoky flavor, but you know what, I'm just going to see it and see how it works here. Like I said, it smells pretty good, it looks pretty good, and I expect it will be pretty good. And they recommend garnishing it with a little either grated, fresh grated Parmesan cheese, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can use croutons or bread or something else. I like Parmesan cheese, so we're going to try that. So that's our finished product right there. Let's give this thing its all-important taste test. Alright, so I got my soup and I got my customary glass of milk here. We're ready to try this. I'm actually going to mix the cheese in a little bit here. Otherwise you end up just getting a big cheesy mess on the top. That's good. You can taste a little bit of the smoky flavor. I would probably cut down the sugar a little bit because it has kind of a sweet flavor to it. But it's actually really good. You can taste the tomatoes. Like I said, you can taste the kind of the smoky flavor because they fire roasted the tomatoes. And that's, I kind of knew I was going to get into that. But this is a good recipe. I would recommend this one. The neat thing about it is it's really easy to make. I whipped the whole thing up in about 30 minutes. That includes the time I took, setting things up when I was shooting video and stuff like that. So it's pretty easy. You basically you saute the onions, you throw in the rest of the ingredients, you mix it up, you put the lid on it, you cook it for 7 minutes at high pressure, you quick release, you put in your heavy whipping cream, and you're good to go. And I got a lot of this. You saw how much I had in that pot. I'll probably get 8 or 10 meals out of this. So this is a good option. I recommend it. I will put it in the description below, and check it out if you like. It's a really tasty, I think pretty healthy option for a meal. So I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Bon appetit. Now, before we finish this video, I want to revisit a vlog I did about a year and a half ago. This vlog actually started out on one of the live streams. If you watch our live streams, you know it's not uncommon for the discussion to devolve into talking about food. And during this one, I happened to mention that I was looking for a good recipe to make salsa. I'd tried making salsa a number of times before and never could get it right. Couldn't get the texture just right. Couldn't get the flavor just right. Well, one of my viewers said, hey, I've got a good salsa recipe. I used to work at a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and I'll send you the recipe for their house salsa. And when I made this on the vlog, I was really impressed with it. Not because it had the right level of flavor yet, but because it was really good building blocks and it just needed to be spiced up a little bit. So today I want to show you, we're going to revisit that because this stuff has become a staple in my house. I make this stuff all the time. I always have it. I make a large quantity of it and then put it into little canning jars and put it in the freezer and save it until I need it. And this is the way I've dialed this recipe in. Basically, it's 20 Roma tomatoes. I'm making a lot of these, so you can half this or quarter this if you're interested. But since I'm making a lot of it, I'm going to make probably 2 gallons of this stuff. I'm going to need a lot of tomatoes and a lot of everything. So it's 20 Roma tomatoes, 10 jalapeno peppers, 10 serrano peppers, 1 or 2 large red onions. This one was a very, very large red onion, so I elected to go with one of them. And 2 cans of the El Pato hot tomato sauce. Now basically I'm just going to chop this all up. You've seen me chop up stuff before, but we're going to put it in a big pot, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Alright, several hours have gone by and I got everything nice and chopped up and ready to go. Just for the tally, that's 20 Roma tomatoes, 10 Serrano chilies, 10 jalapeno peppers, and 1 large red onion, and then of course 2 cans of the El Pato hot tomato sauce. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it sit overnight, and this will be ready to go tomorrow morning. Looks good, doesn't it? Alright, our salsa has set up overnight in the refrigerator, and I have dished it out into the individual canning jars that I use. Most of these are going to go into the freezer. One will go into the refrigerator to be the current jar of salsa that I'm using, and this should keep me going for another, I don't know, another couple months at least. So that's sort of the update on the salsa front. Hope you kind of enjoyed the update. Like I said, I like my salsa a little bit spicier than normal, and sometimes the best way to do that is to make your own. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching.